Evening, it's 7 o'clock. This meeting is now called to order. Roll call. Councilman Nathaniel Anderson,
Present.
Councilwoman Rebecca Perone,
Present.
Councilwoman Dr. Tiffany Worth,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Samantha Whitfield,
Present.
and Mayor Kim McIntosh.
Present.
We will now have our opening prayer by Reverend Dr. Carlos Worthy, lead pastor of the Borough Church. Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Let us pray. Gracious Lord, we thank you for what you have done. We thank you for what you're doing. And we thank you for what you are preparing us to do through us, with us and among us. We ask you to be with every appointed and every elected official on this evening, give them the insight that they need, give them the understanding to be able to look at the agenda items that are before them and do them for the well-being and the health of our community. Continue to position them to serve well, so that we will be better as a community and we'll be able to give you the glory. We pray this and believe it done in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Let us stand for the flag salute.
Yeah, she just moved into it. Yeah. So.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, this is to announce that adequate notice of this meeting was provided in the following manner. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal complex and was mailed to the Burlington County Times, the Intelligencer, and the Courier Times. Advance written notice of this meeting was filed with the township clerk. The clerk is directed to enter into the minutes of this meeting, this public announcement.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Well, good evening, everyone. It's great to see everyone on this chilly evening. We'll start off with the proclamation for Mental Health Awareness Month. If Councilman Anderson will do the honors.
Yep. All right, so this proclamation is being read in honor of one of our very own. Proclamation in honor of Mental Awareness Month. Whereas in 1949, Mental Awareness Month was established to bring awareness to what mental health is now and how it impacts our everyday lives and society. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Mental health can affect how we think, feel, act, and interact with others. Further, it determines how we handle stress related to others and make choices. And whereas mental health is important at any stage of life, including childhood, adolescence, and adulthood, nearly 1 in 5 adults live with mental health according to the National Institute of Health. The many factors that contribute to mental health conditions include biological factors such as genes, life experiences such as trauma or abuse, and family history of mental health problems. And whereas there are several types of mental health conditions, which include anxiety disorders, bipolar disorders, depression, post-traumatic stress disorders, and self-harm. There are multiple warnings and signs of symptoms such as pulling away from people and usual activities, having low or no energy, experiencing severe mood swings that cause problems in relationships, and thinking of harming yourself or others. And whereas living with mental health can be challenging and can prevent someone from carrying out their everyday responsibilities, to prevent mental health from progressing and to live with a mental health condition, it is a great strategy to first make the initiative and cognitive decision first to want help, to get help. For example, with an early and consistent treatment plan, it is possible to manage and overcome mental health illness. Some tips, tools, and strategies include sticking to a treatment plan, keeping in contact with your primary care physician, learning about the condition, and practice self-care with family and friends. And now, therefore, I, Kaya T. McIntosh, Mayor of the Township of Willingboro, along with the Willingboro Township Council and the Willingboro residents, do hereby proclaim May 2023 as Mental Health Awareness Month. I encourage all Willingboro residents to learn more about how they can support individuals with mental health illness.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson. Moving right along, Mr. Harris, will you give us your municipal updates?
Good evening, Mayor and Council and members of the public. We're going to start our update this evening with a short presentation from Captain Bucks at the request of the council related to shot spotter, which is, we received a grant in the amount of $99,000 to install here in Willingboro. So I'm going to ask Captain Bucks to start with that, and then we will proceed from there.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, Willingboro residents. I'll actually going to turn this over to Jason, a representative from ShotSpotter, who's going to give the presentation. He's the guy to ask all the questions to and has all the information in reference to that. So I don't have a great presentation for you this time. Hopefully Jason does.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason Silva. I represent ShotSpotter. And we are just recently changed our name to Sound Thinking. Our gunshot technology product that we are exploring tonight is still called ShotSpotter. And with me tonight, I have Ron Teachman. He's been my colleague for some 3 years now. A little bit about myself. I was a former police officer with the city of Richmond, California in the San Francisco Bay Area, where I use the system. And I would like to turn it over to Ron Teachman so he can give you a short presentation of the system and how it works. And if you have any questions after that, we are here to field those questions for you. Ron, you there?
Just give me a minute.
Yep, no problem. So right off the bat, we'll just get started with just waiting for Ron to get all set up for our presentation. Does anybody have any questions to start off regarding the system and how it works or anything along that nature?
No. We don't really know much about it. So if you could give a
Yep.
general view, that would be helpful.
Yes, not a problem. We're getting all set up, and once Ron Teachman is ready, we'll get started on the presentation. Just give us a second.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to, give me a second.
No problem.
So while we were waiting on Ron, we had an incident at the school this morning
Yes, sir.
that I did ask the captain to give us, give the governing body an update on. So while we're waiting for Ron, why don't you go ahead and proceed with that?
Yeah, this morning we got dispatched to the high school probably about 6:45, 6:50 this morning. The high school received a email and it stated, "Hello, principal. I'm a student with Willingboro and I am gay. I have been bullied for 3 years about my sexuality and now it's time for everyone to pay. I suggest that you come today. I suggest that you don't come today, but don't try stopping me at the door because I already have my weapon of choice hidden in the school and you won't know till it's too late." So obviously we take these things extremely serious. All of our officers responded to the high school this morning, us, including with the Burlington County Sheriff's Department, Bomb Dog, in conjunction with the high school. We searched the high school. We deemed the high school safe. The students weren't allowed into the high school until we deemed the high school safe. And at that point, till about 9 o'clock, once that happened, school resumed. And we just continue to have a large presence at the high school for the rest of the day as we plan on having, for the remainder of the school year.
Did they find out where?
Yeah, good question.
yeah.
Yes, they did. So what they did is they traced back the IP. They traced back the IP address. The IP address came back to Switzerland. And that's a lot of things that happen. A lot of these scams when between these the different types of phone systems out there, the computer phones, a lot of times you can't pinpoint where those calls are coming from, where the emails are coming from. This one came back to Switzerland. We worked with the school's IT, and they were able to determine that it didn't come from any of the school's platforms, as far as like a Willingboro Ed type platform or like Chromebook or something like that. So.
And that's good to know because I think the first inclination is everybody to panic and think it, there's some violence coming from within.
Mhm.
And sometimes it is from a source that's not from Willingboro.
Right. And there has been some upticks in the county, what they call them swatting
Mhm.
calls, and there has been some, I think it was 2 weeks ago, there was one in Chesterfield. It wasn't in reference to a school, but it was in reference to someone said, I think they called the police, said that they killed their mother and father or something to that effect, but it turned out to be another hoax. So has been an increase in those types of calls recently. So, but we treat them, we always treat them the
Yeah.
same. You can't treat them any differently because of the nature of the call.
No, we appreciate that due diligence. That's very important.
And nothing was recovered from the school or anything like
Correct.
that.
Nothing was recovered, correct.
All right, good to know. Thank you so much.
I'm like, you ready, Ron?
We like the cha-cha slide.
Yeah, we're getting there. Sorry about that technical difficulty with Zoom sometimes.
Mr. Harris, while we're waiting, can you proceed with your updates? Thank you.
So these are some of the occurrences that have been happening in and about Willingboro since our last meeting. On the 25th of April, there were 11 personnel from Jefferson Health Program that were present at the Reva Foster Senior Center. And they did a wonderful presentation on infectious disease program. Physician Dr. Kushan Wu and staff there delivered the program to the participants in both English and Spanish. There were 5 events related to food distributions that were held in the month of April with the goal of preventing food insecurity. Foods were received from Wawa, Amazon, Trader Joe's, and Rutgers Food Smart Program. Regarding our finances for April, at our last meeting, the governing body adopted a $48,221,000 budget, representing a 0 tax increase in Willingboro. The Finance Department continues to work to ensure the township's financial fluency. The department is working closely with Phoenix Advisor, who are the township's financial advisors, and strategically watching the financial markets in preparation of issuing bond anticipation notes for capital projects that had been authorized by previous bond ordinance, but not yet financed or permanently financed. The Finance Department is also working closely with Phoenix in researching investment opportunities for revenue generating purposes. The CFO, along with Sherry Tracy from Phoenix, met with Samantha Myers, Senior Management Consultant, PFM Asset Management LLC, on the 25th to learn more about the New Jersey Asset and Rebate Management, also known as New Jersey ARM program, and investing some reserve funds through the program in accordance with our cash management plan, which was adopted at the beginning of the fiscal year. PFM Assets Management is an investment advisor regulated with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and is a subsidiary of the U.S. Bancorp Asset Management Incorporated. The rates that they're seeing have been very good, and we are hoping to invest just about $1 million with the hopes that we will see between a 4% and 5% return. Revenues generated as of April 25th total $1,516,504, of which 1.2 million were tax revenues. And just as a friendly reminder, the quarterly taxes are due, and a monthly allotment to the Willingboro Board of Education in the amount of $2,829,433 was dispersed. A total of $3,853,060 was expended during the month of April for operating expenses and salaries and wages. We are continuing to draft the capital budget for 2023, which is planned for introduction at our next meeting. I did leave a spreadsheet with all of the most recent capital figures. This is to include additional appropriations that will allow us to begin the engineering and design work on the proposed turf fields and additional capital to continue moving forward with the JFK Performing Arts Theater project, which Phase 1 is currently out to bid. And the bonding for the 2023 Segment 4 road improvements being financed through the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank is also being prepared. So if there are any items that the governing body wishes to amend on the proposed capital budget, I ask that we finalize this by the next meeting so we can go ahead and prepare the bond ordinance and potentially introduce that at our next meeting. We have received the third-party independent audit of the proposed ESIP, which now has been submitted to the Board of Public Utilities for their approval. I submitted it to them this morning. They acknowledged receipt, and by law, they are required to have reviewed it and respond to us within 14 days. So I trust by our next meeting, we will have their review and approval of the ESIP program. Once that is received, our bond counsel will begin to prepare a refunding bond ordinance, which needs to be adopted, and it requires approval from the local finance board because essentially some of the payments of that bond ordinance will be coming from the savings realized by the municipality, which also releases us from the obligation to include the 5% down payment of the total expenditures in our operating budget, which would come to about an additional 200,000. So that's a plus there as well. Back in December, we did announce that the New Jersey State Health Benefit Fund would be charging a 23% increase in their rates for 2023, which ignited a firestorm throughout the state, primarily because the state absorbed the increased cost for its employees and left the other member municipalities out to dry. Many municipalities have opted to leave the state plan, and Willingboro, working with USI Insurance Services as our brokering agent, is looking to leave the state plan as well. USI and Performance Health will be here next week at the meeting to present our plan to the council and answer any questions that you may have. The proposed plan will save the township over $570,000 or 15.8% over the next 12 months, while offering a plan with better benefits to our employees. I did send you all preliminary information regarding those plans, and I ask that you do review them. If you have any questions, that they will be here to answer them at the next meeting, because we will need to move forward as we would like to implement this transition by August the 1st, and we are required to give the state a 60-day notice of our intent to withdraw. In line with that, we are required through our collective bargaining negotiations to have health benefits that are deemed equal or better to what we are currently have in place. Our broker and provider will be meeting with our union leadership Thursday of this week to present the plan to them, which I am sure that it will meet or exceed that equal or better designation. So we are moving forward there. Are they ready, or you want me to continue to proceed?
Okay, we're ready, sir.
Are you ready online?
I am ready, and I appreciate your patience.
So I will yield, and you can go ahead and make your presentation.
Thank you. Mayor McIntosh, members of the council, Director Bucks, thank you for this opportunity to address you tonight, and I apologize. Normally I work from home and things work seamlessly. I'm in a hotel in Aurora, Colorado, and things don't work out so well when you're on the road. So let me just briefly, and I believe I have about 15 minutes, let me briefly introduce you to ShotSpotter. As my colleague Jason said, we've rebranded the company because we've expanded our solutions, but our conversation tonight is going to be about the gunshot detection. In the time that I have, I hope to get across what is ShotSpotter, how does it work? But if you bear with me, I'd like to take a moment and talk about the why. Why is this something you might want to consider bringing to your city? And I'll start by telling you a story very briefly. Tonight, in some neighborhood of your township, there'll be gunfire. And what happens next? And by the way, by introduction, 38-year law enforcement veteran, twice a police chief, over 8 years in 2 different cities, and I've installed ShotSpotter. But what I know to happen then is a resident will be awakened. Maybe they comfort a child. After some minutes, they go to the front window of their house or apartment, discreetly peer through the blinds, and what are they expecting to see? They're expecting to see a law enforcement response from your police agency, arriving there to save lives, solve crime, or engage the community. But that will probably not happen without gunshot detection, because most gunfire goes unreported. What the police get is a small slice of what's really happening, on average, 20% or less. Now, that may seem counterintuitive, but I've been spending the last 7.5 years representing the company. And as I travel around the country, this is not unique to New Jersey or your township. This is across the country, including the cities where I've been a police chief, New Bedford and South Bend. People aren't sure the noise is gunfire. They don't want to cry wolf. They think someone else will call closer to the event because they don't see anything out their window. They're afraid that if they call 911, a police car will come to their door to follow up for the investigation. And what if the shooter sees that? Or they've given up because they never see a police response. So as we look at our police department and we evaluate them, no matter how we measure it, we're looking for saving lives, solving crime, building trust, engaging the community. The chance of your police department to be successful is less than 20% if they only get 20% notice in total. Meanwhile, the shooters are emboldened to shoot. They don't see a police response, and this increases your likelihood of homicides and non-fatal shootings. But your resident doesn't know that. They think the police are omniscient. They think the police know everything, just like the cops on TV. So from their perspective, thinking of your constituents, your neighbors, your friends, your residents of your township, as they look out the window, if they think the police know, but the police don't show, what might they think about their police department? Might think they don't care. And they may attribute that to their protected class, race, economics, immigration status, sexual orientation, race being the big one. So whatever they're perceiving from their position is why the police aren't responding. Lawyers call that deliberate indifference. The gun violence then continues. There's a negative perception about township administration, particularly the police department. This erodes community trust and puts your officers at risk. Well, let me give you a satellite view of what might be happening in your township now without ShotSpotter. That gunshot doesn't get called in. And anybody watching this presentation who may be skeptical of the data I've shared, ask any officer in the township, how often do they get sent to an emergency room at the hospital, the trauma center, and there was no corresponding 911 call? And they'll tell you it happens all the time. Even when someone is shot, not just shots fired, but if someone is shot, and the first that the police learn of it is when somebody at the hospital called because they have to by law. But let's say someone does call the police. Where do we send our officer? Well, if the caller only says, I think I heard gunfire, please send the police to respond, we're going to send the officer to the caller's house. Because we don't know where the danger is, we know where the caller is. And that may put the officer in harm's way. Even if the officer comes from a safe location, such as you see coming from the north to the south, they get to the caller's house, they set up a search area after talking to the caller and wasting critical time, asking the same questions the call taker at 911 asked, and they set up a search area, and what will they find? Nothing. Because according to our customers, the average caller is 2.5 football fields away from the actual crime scene. And heaven forbid someone is shot, they could be bleeding out. We're not getting emergency medical services to them because we're at the wrong location. We're 911 sent us to the caller's house. And if we don't respond, I say we, if the police don't respond comprehensively to gun violence, if the narrative in the house that the police don't care, all sorts of things happen that don't get reported as crimes. It's a diminished quality of life where neighbors don't engage, they don't feel comfortable in their own home. They don't let their children use playgrounds nearby, or even let their children leave home after school. And young men are far more likely to join gangs, groups, cliques, or crews for their own protection or that of their family if we've lost confidence in our police department. This is what happens when gunfire is normalized. And for Director Bucks, trying to allocate public safety resources. The old adage is you can't manage what you can't measure. But ShotSpotter says, what if there was a way to address all these concerns: officer safety, public perception, community trust, and violence reduction? We say you can detect, protect, connect. Now, the time that I have doesn't allow me to go through all 3 chapters, but I'll briefly explain how it works. How do we detect? Well, what happens first is ShotSpotter will tell you, when installed, what happened, when it happened, and where it happened. We don't tell you who, that's on the police. But we begin by doing an analytical survey of past gun crime in collaboration with the police department. So where in your township should it go will depend on heat map analysis. Where is the most persistent gunfire? Where are your murders, your homicides, your non-fatal shootings? And we look at one contiguous footprint or smaller footprints. We make a proposal based on that. Now and I want to emphasize this, we are responsible for the installation, the monitoring, and the maintenance of the system. Much like your cell phone provider has built a network of cell towers and small cells on rooftops of buildings, we will similarly put our system on rooftops of buildings and utility poles as needed. And then when a gun is fired, after this system is built out, this dome of protection in your township, when someone fires a gun, that acoustic event radiates out and the sensors detect it. When they detect it, they timestamp it. And all that data from the timestamp is sent up to the cloud, because every sensor has a modem built in. And up in the cloud, our computer analysis determines the location based on time differential. Think of triangulation. And we know the speed of sound is slow, especially compared to the speed of light, just because as a child, we heard that lightning and thunder lecture, right? Look at the lightning strike, count the seconds. Well, it takes about 4 seconds for a gunshot to travel a mile, and we're measuring precisely, which is how we know precisely where the shooting occurred. Now, the second part of that is, how do we know it's gunfire? Well, again, all that data went up to the cloud, and we use computer algorithms to filter out the noises that are not gunfire. And we've been at this for over 27 years, so we're pretty accurate just on the algorithms. But we don't rely on that. We send the data package for a human review. The human then listens to the audio recording, and they are trained over 2 months in 4 different stages, so they're quite proficient at filtering out noises that are not gunfire, like fireworks and backfire and so forth. They look at the waveform configuration. And again, gunfire is unique, it's rather spiky. And they look at the sensor participation. We know where the sensors are located, we install them, we plot them on a map, and the analyst looks to see if the engagement is omnidirectional, which would not be gunfire, or linear, would be. So here they are sitting in their incident review center, and we have 2, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, and they listen, determine, and dispatch. Now that whole process takes less time than it took me to explain. From trigger pull, we're sending the police in under 60 seconds. When we determine it's gunfire, we send that notice out to your 911 communications center, to patrol cars out in the field, as well as desktops at headquarters, to officers' phones, and even to their smartwatches. Now, I'm briefly going to show you what it might look like when an officer's out in the field. They would get their computer-aided dispatch on their screen. This is just a mock-up of what it might look like. Then they get a distinct audio alert when there's gunfire. That brings ShotSpotter to the forefront of their device. I was just
Ron,
sure.
sorry to interrupt you. We're not
Yeah.
seeing your presentation here.
You're not.
No.
Not from the beginning at all?
No, sir.
Wow. I'm sorry. My colleague said it was good to go on his end. Okay,
We don't
I
have
would-
to rehash it, but
no. I'm sorry. Yeah,
share your screen from where you are.
Okay. Well, let me just finish talking through it then, and I apologize. I thought you were able to see my screen the whole time. Maybe if I have an opportunity, I'll come and show you next time. So let me just say, we hear gunshots, we determine where they are with precision. We guarantee a location accuracy. We guarantee comprehensive notification. That's all contractually provided and guaranteed. We've been in business for over 27 years. We've got 150 cities we're currently deployed in. many of them in New Jersey that you can look to as a reference. Again, I apologize you didn't see any of those screens, but I will say this. In addition to notifying, and I'll close with this for now, in addition to notifying police in near real time to a precise location, allowing them to get to victims, to save lives, gather evidence to identify the perpetrator, and engage the community, we also encourage our customers to share the data. And I just want to tie this last comment in with what we heard earlier about mental health. We recognize at ShotSpotter that victims of gunfire are not just those where bullets penetrate flesh, but people live in neighborhoods where there's persistent gunfire, are affected psychologically. Their mental health is compromised. So we all want to work together to lower the gun violence, but particularly acknowledging our young people, because their brains are still in development and they can be affected physiologically as well as psychologically. So we encourage our customers, we call this program Data for Good, taking the ShotSpotter data, which I wish I could show you, and sharing it with school officials to identify where gunfire is happening, cross-reference your student population, and bring wraparound services to those students, young people who are suffering vicarious trauma by their exposure to the gun violence. I'll stop there and answer any questions if you have. And again, my apologies. I thought that was coming through on the screen.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, you seem to explain it pretty well. But there's no questions from the council. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes, there's no questions at this time.
So Ron, what's his name?
Yes.
Ron Jason. Right. So thank you, Ron and Jason. If possible, maybe you can forward that presentation to Captain Bucks, and he'll be able to share it with the governing body that include your graphs and data.
Yep, we could do that.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Harris, before we move on, I do have a couple of questions for Captain Bucks, though. It's really from your perspective as our director. You think this would be a beneficial program for Wellingborough? And I know you did answer this before. I just want to, for more people.
I do. Yes, I do.
Okay, and then I know he spoke about a lot of gun violence. I know we don't have a whole lot of gun violence, so I just want to make that clear. But from your perspective, how would it be beneficial for us?
Basically, to be able to determine whether it's fireworks or gunfire,
Mhm.
you know, and that's, we get a lot of missed calls of, mislabeled calls between gunfire and fireworks. So that's the big push for us, is where we're getting dispatched for a fireworks call or a gun call, but then it's actually fireworks. And there's been times, like Ron said, where there's been times, like Ron said, I guess I got a little closer. Like Ron said, where we'll get dispatched to the hospital and we didn't get any calls at all. And then what, from talking to, our victim, it's been determined that the incident did happen in town. So that's the benefit right there, where we're able to send our police officers to a specific location in under 60 seconds or less prior to even having a caller call us.
Okay. And then what would be the monetary investment, short-term and long-term?
So we have it for 2 years,
Okay.
which is covered by the grant, and then I believe LT. Then after that, it would be 54,000.
And does it require any more manpower to monitor
Everything's monitored by them.
by the, okay,
Everything's monitored by them. Like Ron said, we can have it on our desktops, our in-car computers. Officers can put it on their cell phones, and anytime that a gunshot is detected, it'll be pushed to all those devices.
okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Captain Bucks? Dr. Worthy?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Captain Bucks, I know we have continued to invest in public safety with different upgrades and equipment. I was wondering how this software will integrate with the existing platforms you have, or is it going to require some retrofitting, or how does that going to work?
So those two, the closed circuit camera systems and this, they're two separate systems.
Okay,
Does that answer your question? Is that where you're?
as long as, I
question
mean,
you're
but with it being two separate systems, will that work well for what you all are trying to accomplish? Or,
Yes,
okay,
yes,
no, that's my question. Thank you.
yes.
And just to add on to Dr. Worthy's question, I think with the in-car notifications and things like that, would there be requirements for upgrades to the in-car systems or the desktop systems in order to support this platform?
To my knowledge, no. I would ask if Ron or Jason is
Okay.
still on. I don't think it would.
Yes,
be
we're
any-
still here.
Would it require
Oh.
any upgrade or different type of computer systems in our in-car patrol vehicles?
No, when we publish out this data package, on your end, as long as you have web access on your MDTs and on phones or a tablet, it's just an app. That's why we can publish to a phone, a tablet, or even your watch through an app, and we perform on both Android and Apple iOS platforms. So it doesn't matter what type of device your officers have, we can get that to them. On an MDT or a laptop in the squad car, it'd be a web access. And for dispatch, web access as well. And it's a URL, password protected, so it only goes to police agencies and police employees.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the information.
You're welcome.
So then I will continue on with my report. We were going to go into the inspections department, which completed 728 inspections during the month of April. 75 rental inspections. They issued over 364 violations, 193 construction permits or permit updates, and 1 summons, and generating a total of $75,000 just under in revenue. Inspections revenue is up over last year, and I am a firm believer that we are going to be over $1 million in 2024. So we look forward to that. No pressure. In our fire and EMS, the second Citizens Fire Academy began on Wednesday, April the 26th. We have 5 dedicated applicants who will come out with a better understanding of how the fire department operates and handles emergency incidents during this 8-week program. The topics that they cover include firefighting turnout gear, self-contained breathing apparatus, vehicle extrication, CPR, AED, search and rescue, hose operations, aerial operations, and much, much more. From our public safety, there was increased distracted driver enforcement throughout the municipality during the month of April. Patrols continue to conduct motor vehicle enforcement throughout the municipality, specifically targeting areas such as Pennypacker, Beverly Rancocas Road, Charleston Road, and Veterans Parkway. In addition, patrols continue to monitor the library during the day and their night shifts. There were 2 notable events in April, on the 22nd in particular for this department, the DEA Take Back and the Kappa Classic basketball event. The basketball event mingled Willingboro police officers and youth of different age groups in several basketball games. There was also a knockout challenge, a skills competition, and a 3-point competition. The Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated also presented Director Bucks and the Willingboro Police Department with a trophy for their commitment to the youth and this event. And I did attend that event. It was spectacular, and we are looking forward to making this an annual and expanded event here in Willingboro. The Citizens Police Academy was held during the month of April, and graduation was on Saturday, the 29th. This was another great opportunity for our residents to get to know our police officers. Activities and lessons included the hiring process, They covered K-9 and a SWAT demo. The Detective Division made presentations and firearm safety, just to name a few. In our Public Works, Penny Packer Drive Phase 2, the repaving of Penny Packer Drive and the installation of 3 speed humps will begin on May the 15th. This project is being funded through a fiscal year 2021 NJDOT municipal aid grant in the amount of $249,100, and the $30,000 for the speed humps was included in our capital budget by the council in 2022 for that purpose. Bradford and Blueberry Lane, this project has finally received fiscal year 2022 NJDOT approval and has been put out to bid. Bids are due back on Wednesday, May the 31st. The township was awarded $335,000 municipal aid grant for this project, which will include milling and overlaying, ADA curb ramps, some curb and gutter repairs, and new striping on Bradford and Blueberry Lanes. Buckingham Drive, the contract to award the engineering for the Buckingham Drive Road improvement will be drawn up for our next meeting. Quotes were solicited from 3 appointed engineers, and CME Associates came in with the lowest bid at $56,500. The township was the recipient of a fiscal year 2023 municipal aid grant in the amount of $318,348 for this project, and we are hopeful to have the engineering complete and the project put to bid by midsummer, with work to be started and completed this fall. Our recreation department, there were several events at the Kennedy Center in the month of April, a successful drive-through egg extravaganza, an Easter egg hunt, an Earth Day event and community cleanup, the Autism in My Shoe Symposium, and the Phenomenal Women's Award Banquet, just to name a few. We would also like to announce that the Willingboro Panthers Youth Recreation and Senior Recreation Competition teams, did I say that right? Okay. Competed in the North American Open Championships in Jacksonville, Florida. Both teams finished in first place for their levels, and both teams were also announced as grand champions for the entire level 1 and 2 division. We are very proud of both teams for capturing their very first grand championship wins in their competition cheer history. And congratulations to the cheerleaders, the coaches, and the parents. And they are having a celebration in the gym at the JFK Center on Tuesday, May the 9th at 6 p.m. And I encourage everyone to come by and offer them your support and your congratulations. Some other events that are being slated through recreation for the month of May coming up. The 10th annual Del Payne 5K run or walk, which will be held on Saturday, May the 13th. Show your support for the Willingboro Public Library by participating in the 10th annual Del Payne 5K run, walk, and fun run. This event will be held at Mill Creek Park on Saturday, May the 13th. Additional details and opportunities to donate are listed on a flyer you can find online, or you can visit www.delpayne5k.com for more information. WREC at Rita's is going to be held on May the 13th from 12 to 2 p.m. The Recreation Department will be at Rita's Water Ice promoting its summer recreation programs and offering residents an opportunity to register for these summer programs. There will also be hot dogs and a DJ, and you can get some discounted water ice at Rita's during the event. So I encourage you to, again, come out to Rita's on May the 13th, check out our recreation programs, eat a hot dog, and have some water ice. Willingboro will be hosting the Youth in Government Day, which will be held on May the 16th. And I believe Ms. Blodgett will provide us with more information related to that. On May the 19th, there will be another open mic scheduled at the JFK Center from 7 to 9 p.m. The annual fishing challenge is scheduled for June the 3rd from 8 to 11:30 at Crystal Lake. On Friday night, May the 12th at the amphitheater from 7 to 9 p.m. will be our Friday Night Live. There will be a band titled 4 a.m. and they will be playing some rhythm and blues. So we encourage you to again come out to the newly opened amphitheater on Friday night from 7 to 9. Bring your chairs and come and enjoy the music. And mark your calendars for June the 17th. Saturday, June the 17th is when we will be celebrating our Juneteenth here in Willingboro. And more details will be released on that as well. And Ms. Foster, what was the day for the Memorial Day celebration? At 11 o'clock. And details will be forthcoming with that as well. I believe they had a meeting today. And we will get more details for your calendars as they become available. On the 22nd, we did have a Clean Communities event, cleanup event. There were about 55, 60 residents who came out and helped clean up Mill Creek Park. During the event, they collected 67 30-gallon trash bags of trash, 3 30,000-gallon trash bags of recycling, and a few other items. Some grills and things that you wouldn't expect to find in the woods were in the woods. So we thank our Clean Communities coordinator and team for planning the event. One of the things that we did do to promote the event this year is that we said everyone that signed up online would have an opportunity for a chance to win. Am I saying it right, doctor? Win an electric self-mulching lawnmower. So we are going to take this opportunity live and in person to go ahead and do that drawing. So you can
It's
see.
done. It's done. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
Oh, you got another one.
yeah.
You didn't say that. Got 2.
So we on this wheel is everyone that registered for this event, and we are going to spin the wheel and decide who our winner is going to be.
All right,
It's a little time delayed.
cool.
So we want to congratulate Mr. Edmund Walker for being the winner of our electric mulching lawnmower giveaway at our first giveaway for our Clean Communities event, funded and sponsored through our Clean Communities organization and fund. So Mr. Gaines will make sure that Mr. Walker receives his lawnmower on behalf of Willingboro Clean Communities. And we thank everyone for their participation. We also would like to thank Mr. Loris Cowherd in Garfield Park, who was the first to take the Keep Willingboro Clean pledge. We like to thank all of the residents who have gone online and have taken that pledge. We will be delivering your special lawn signs to you very shortly after we receive them. If anyone wishes to take the pledge, they can go to the Willingboro website, click on Community, then on Keep Willingboro Clean, and you will receive a special lawn sign designating that you took the pledge as part of our Keep Willingboro Clean initiative. Finally, I just want to take an opportunity to congratulate Mr. Gary Laurie, who we are going to officially promote into the position of Deputy Township Manager. Mr. Laurie has been very dedicated to serving the residents of Willingboro. He has an astounding work ethic and has very positive attitude and has given a lot of contribution to the senior leadership team. And we feel that he is very deserving of that title and position at this time. So we just want to congratulate Mr. Laurie. And I do just want to acknowledge and recognize Mr. Marvin Harris, who will be resuming the reins of Acting Director of Public Works upon the retirement of Mr. Richard Bravogel. And, the department is going through some struggles with manpower issues, but, they're working very hard and doing their very best to keep things flowing, and we will continue to give them our utmost support. So those are all the items that I have to report to the governing body this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Also, I did want to add for Clean Communities, which actually was a good turnout. We did give out another lawnmower, right? So this is two that we gave out, and I think Miss Andrews was the first winner. So I think that was worthy of pointing out that, we did have two great gifts to give out. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Harris?
Just one question.
Yeah.
Do we have a date for the Jazz Fest? I heard the other events come up, but do we have a date for the Jazz Fest? August 13th. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Harris, you can proceed.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Okay,
I just did
no
have
problem.
one more item, and I just wanted to share with the council that we will be, I did request from the Burlington County Bridge Commission. They are participating in a tree giveaway and have opened the opportunity to members of the communities to get free 10 trees, up to 10 trees. So I did make a request to them to get 10 trees for Willingboro, 10 trees that are indigenous to Burlington County, and hopefully we will be recipients of those and plant them in reasonable locations throughout the community. So that won't have any effect on telephone
Power
lines and
lines. Thank
power
you.
lines and things like that.
Thank you.
Last year, we removed over 160 trees, and I think it would be prudent for us to replace some of those that were lost in storms and taken down because they were dead and severely dilapidated through improper prunings.
Correct.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Harris, for your updates. I did just have one question. There's clearly no shortage of events in Willingboro. We have so many things going on, but I just ask if we continually put these out to maximize attendance to the residents, and maybe like a monthly format or a monthly post, a monthly blast or something on the app so that folks can mark their calendars and keep abreast of those as those are happening, as we do have quite a lot of things going on. And we want to make sure that the community is aware of all. And that was all I had.
Absolutely, Deputy Mayor. Ms. Jackson does send out that information in our weekly, Willingboro Weekly. We will make sure they are put on the app, but the events for the whole calendar year are listed on our website by date and event. And I am asking the departments to populate them into our main calendar. So the information is out there. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot us an email or contact us through our Willingboro Connect app, and we will be certain to respond to you.
Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Also, Mr. Harris, we've had conversations in the past about utilizing that Comcast station, Channel 28, which you identified as shared with other communities.
Yes.
But if we can start using that as well for those who, aren't on the tech scene or who are way past the tech age, so that they can just turn the TV on, look at all the events that's happening. So I think that would be another tool that we've discussed if we can actually get that working. I know in the past years, Ms. Foster has used it for various events. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Harris, you can proceed to the resolutions.
So the resolutions being presented to you this evening, there are no ordinances. Resolution number 2023-95 is very similar to resolution number 2023-96. Last year, there were many opportunities where we had to acquire the services of electricians and plumbers. And unfortunately, because of the public purchasing laws, every time we needed to get a plumber, we had to go contact 2 or 3, and they would charge us $700, $1,000 to come out and give us quotes. And then we would decide who we were going to issue a contract to. This year, I decided that we were going to kind of subjugate some of those processes, and we did implement a bid for on-call plumbing services and electrical services, which are really pre-establishing rates and agreeances on what their service response times would be, what their overtime rates would be. So, and they were also done through a fair and open process. So whenever we need the services, these services, we can just call one of 2 of our contracted providers, ask them to provide us with a quote, which will pretty much be a time and labor, well, not a time, an equipment, right, and then service, and then we could just go ahead and issue purchase orders for these services without having to continually pay for quotes and things. And this gives us a better control over what we are paying because they are pre-contracted established rates. And I thought this would be a good thing for the township moving a practice to utilize moving forward. We did not go out for HVAC bids this year because of the amount of work that we're going to be doing with the ESIP. We will be replacing almost all of our HVAC equipment on this building, at the JFK Center, in the library, and at our DPW facility. So they will be pretty much beginning to commence that work in the very near future. On these 2 particular resolutions, I am going to ask that we include just another line in the whereas the funds have been appropriated in the 2023 budget and funds are available for this purpose. Just to be compliant with local finance notice number 2017-10, we do need to include an estimated maximum expenditure for these contracts. Although we are not obligated to expend these amounts, I am going to ask that we just include on both of these resolutions the sentence estimated not to exceed the amount of $20,000 in that line as well. So that's resolutions number 95 and 96. Resolution number 97 is a resolution authorizing the Township of Willingboro to execute an agreement with the Burlington County for cooperative participation in the Home Investment Participation Program. We are the recipient of community development block grants, and this is an extension of those services provided to us through Burlington County and the state of New Jersey. We would essentially be entering into a local service agreement pursuant to New Jersey statute, where we will have an opportunity to conduct cooperative means for certain development activities that are in the best interest of Willingboro Township, enabling us to undertake or assist in undertaking community renewal and lower income housing assistance activities. Particularly, this program would allow us to use housing and urban development funds to do home improvement loans, offer home investment partnership programs, maybe offering incentives to first-time home buyers, and again, to continue to fund our community development block grant programs, utilizing these particular funds for Willingboro Township. If you recall, a few years ago, there was a little controversy about a particular home that was funded through municipal funds for a roof repair. So programs like this would enable the township to provide actual home improvement loans to residents of lower income for home improvement projects such as that. So I just thought that would be a beneficial program for us and the residents here in Willingboro. Resolution number 98 is a resolution to amend the adopted budget, adding an additional item of revenue and offsetting the appropriations. We received a $318,438 grant from the New Jersey Department of Transportation for FY 2023 Municipal Aid Program. We need to insert those revenues into our 2023 budget, which will be used to finance our 2023 NJDOT Buckingham Drive Road Improvement Program. So that's all we're doing. We're just looking to insert those revenues received into this year's budget so we can utilize it for that particular purpose. Resolution number 99 is a resolution authorizing an award of contract for cloud-based product solutions and related services to improve the township's online platform. If you recall, in 2021, you did enter into an agreement with Granicus for website services and other services. Last year, we did expand those services by the inclusion of GovDelivery, which enabled us to kind of simultaneously reach out on the many platforms within the township. We did do that through a $10,000 purchase. However, we are looking to enter into a long-term or a 4-year contractual agreement with Granicus for the continued provision of those services at the rate of $5,500 a year. Inclusive of the $9,500 we did spend in 2022 for this purpose, it will bring the total contract for these services to $26,000, which is above the $17,500 threshold, requiring a resolution from the governing body. So we are just looking to award them a contract in that amount for these services to continue providing these services here in Willingboro. Resolution number 100 is a resolution appointing different members to various boards and commissions. I will defer that to the township clerk at the appropriate time. Resolution number 101 was a resolution modifying the resolution approving the township manager's salary, and I will defer explanation that to the solicitor at the appropriate time. Resolution 102 is a resolution authorizing an adjustment to a sub-account line appropriation for the fiscal year January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2023. We did pass the budget for town council special projects at $120,000, and we're just looking to reappropriate $19,000 into that line. It is not a transfer. It is just making very clear and clean that we are taking monies that were already allotted in the budget and relocating them into another line at the request of the governing body. So those are all of the items that I'm presenting to you for your consideration this evening.
Okay, we still have resolution 103 and 104, authorizing refund for overpayment of taxes.
Oh, did I miss them?
And resolution 2023-104.
I'm sorry. Yes, resolution 103 is refunding overpayment of taxes. Those are usually related to overpayments because of a home sale or someone received an exemption status who had previously paid their taxes. So we are refunding those funds to them, and a resolution to cancel uncollectible taxes. The tax assessor does put out a memo each year stating the taxes that they deem uncollectible for one reason or another. And that was the resolution particularly related to that. I don't have a copy of that one. That's why.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Harris. At this time, I will open it up for public comment on agenda items only. Public comment for agenda items only. You will have 2 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Host, is there anyone online for public comment for agenda items?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Public comment for agenda items is now closed. Are there any resolutions that you want taken out for consent agenda? I have circled 100, 101, 95, and 96. All right, I
I'm
make-
sorry, repeat that again?
I'm pulling out 95, 96,
Mhm.
100, 101.
Just wanted to make sure I was clear.
Okay. I make a motion for a consent agenda for resolutions 2023-97, -98, and -99, and resolutions 2023-102, -103, and -104.
Second?
Moved by Mayor McIntosh, second by Deputy Mayor Whitfield. Roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved by Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. Proceed, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 2023-95, resolution authorizing the award of a fair and open contract for on-call plumbing services and repair.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Discussion.
I have one.
Yes.
For this resolution, I guess my question is, has this been fully reviewed by legal to make sure that everything is in order? And if there are any opportunities where we need to get out of this agreement with that particular company, that has been considered?
When you say reviewed, you mean the bid specs or?
The bid specs, I guess before it goes for our approval and for mayor's signature, just wanted to confirm that legal has had an opportunity to look at it also.
So this is the authorization of the contract. The contract will actually be drawn up by Mr. Cook,
Okay,
which will be presented to the mayor for signature and inclusion, and included the terms and agreements of the bid. So Mr. Cook will make sure that all the proper terms and conditions are included in the contract.
okay, so we're drawing up the contract for this.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Part of
Thank you.
that will be that this is basically as needed. So we only get charged, there's no automatic 20,000.
Right,
Correct.
It's a unit price, whatever units we use is what we'll actually have to pay for. And it will also be terminated at any time, at the desire of the township
okay,
with this, like 30 days notice or something like
Thank
that, the
you.
standard terms. And in terms of this resolution, we're also adding the language that had been referenced by Mr. Harris in connection with it, including the not to exceed figure of $20,000. So that will also be a limitation on it.
okay. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor, that revision is coming over in the morning. I don't have to write it there.
Yeah, I will send it to you modified in the morning.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-96, resolution authorizing the award of a fair and open contract for on-call electrical services and repair. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Worthy. Discussion. This is the same adjustment.
It would have the same terms and conditions in terms of the contract, as well as the change in the language for the not to exceed language.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
So we're at resolution 100. right?
100, yes.
Mayor and council, I need nominations for, whatever board that we, want to appoint people to, and then we'll do the resolution.
Madam Mayor, I have one.
Yes, Dr. Worthy.
I'd like to make a nomination for the library board. I nominate Angelita Martinez.
Second. Roll call.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. I make a motion to nominate Kimberly Davis to the planning board.
Second.
Moved by Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Deputy Mayor Whitfield. Roll call.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
I have another one, Mayor.
Yes.
I make a nomination for Jordan C. Lattimore to the Youth Advisory Board.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Worthy, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Any more nominations?
Not that I saw. That's it.
Resolution 2023-100, a resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Willenboro, providing for appointments to various boards and commissions. Make a motion for Angelita Martinez to the Library Board, Kimberly Davis to the Planning Board, and Jordan Lattimore to the Youth Advisory Board. Need a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-102, resolution authorizing movement of funds between.
No, 101.
101.
I missed something? Oh,
Just-
101.
just 101.
Before that, gotcha. Resolution 2023-101, resolution approving the township manager's salary adjustment amendment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Discussion,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson?
So at the last meeting, when this motion came to the table, I jumped out. I was the biggest cheerleader on this motion based on the information that had been provided to me. Councilwoman Perone had picked up some items that I didn't see based on my conversations. After the meeting took place, when we took a deeper look at the resolution, at the misinformation that I was given, we have to come back to make an amendment. And me personally wanted to come back to let you guys know that it was an error on my part. You know, we are only as good as the information we're given. And unfortunately, the information I received wasn't precise. So with that being said, from a standpoint of transparency, you know, I need to come back. We need to review this. We need to, you know, make sure that the wording is correct. Whereas we indicated that everyone was in receipt, meaning the employees, of an increase from COLA, which was incorrect information. So with my motion and me being the biggest cheerleader on this motion, I was in favor of the way it read to retro payments back to January. But coming to light what the information came before us, the resolution needs to be corrected, and I'm no longer in favor of the retro, but allowing that to take place when everyone else truly gets their increase, whatever it may be called. But I just needed to come back to you guys to let you know I made an error in jumping on it. Councilwoman Perone had identified it, but based on the information I had, that's what I ran with. So good catch, Ms. Perone. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, in response to the concerns, I did draft a revised resolution for consideration tonight, which does correct the record, which is there are some employees due to union contracts or due to how the salary resolution worked, they might not get their salary increases till July. There's a couple units that are still out there in negotiations and it looks like they're getting very close to settling, but they're not settled at the present time. So the resolution was modified to read that other township employees either have received or will receive salary increases in 2023. As noted by Councilman Anderson, there's an issue as to whether or not the prior resolution was retroactive to January. I think there's reconsideration of that being recommended by council at this point in time. So that's the clarifications in terms of the changes that I think need to be made in order to go forward. Is there anything else, Councilman, or?
Yes, just for the record, can we identify exactly what this is? Because based on my previous conversations, it was identified as COLA, the cost of living increase. Based on the resolution, it really doesn't identify what it is. So I just need to know if it's,
It's definitely not COLA.
okay,
COLA right now, actually, the cost of living is close to 6.9%. So the 3% under the salary ordinance that was passed toward the end of last year, the township manager's salary is in the sole discretion of this board, this council. So the 3% was a number that was floated out there, but that's not locked in stone either. That could be whatever council ultimately considers as a majority to adopt if you so choose.
so back to the original question, what is this being deemed as? What is the proper terminology we
This is
should
basically
associate
an
with the 3%?
authorized salary increase in
Salary
an amount of a percentage, but it's not COLA.
Okay, I just wanted to clear that up for the record.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
given that it's not COLA, which is originally what I thought it was as well, it's not COLA. If it is a salary increase, then, would it be more prudent to wait until after, the next meeting when we do his, performance evaluation, since it's not COLA? I thought 3% was COLA, but I'm learning now that it's not. Perhaps we revisit it. Just a consideration.
I mean, that's the majority of the board's desire. You of course have the right to do that, and that might make sense in terms of the overall considerations as to what the actual percentage you desire to award is, so.
I support that.
I as well. That was, my point from before. So I do appreciate Councilman Anderson, coming forward after reviewing and the rest of council. They think, again, I'm not against Mr. Harris. He probably does deserve a raise, but let's just, work collaboratively and look at what we all think it should truly be based off of what we find. Because after his review, because we put it in place, this way we could do these type of things gradually. So yes, I'm in favor of that as well.
And just for my information, Mr. Cook, the cost of the living increases when they are issued in June or July of this year, are those increases retroactive?
The way the salary resolution works, they're effective as of July 1st.
Right. Okay. And that amount is likely to be 6.9%?
I don't see it going down very much between now and then, so.
Right.
Those are capped.
Yeah, they're capped.
One
Our ordinance is
more question, Mr. Crowe. If that, because when we voted on it, there was a pay period that came after the vote. If those funds were paid out already, how do we go back to review that, collect that until the appropriate time? How does that mechanism take
Are you
place?
talking about in
If-
terms of Mr. Harris or?
Well, based on that resolution, if those funds were paid out, because we did vote at that time to go retro. So, and between that last meeting and this meeting, there was a pay period. So if, I'm not sure if they were, but if they were paid out, how is that handled? Now that we're reconsidering this,
If they were paid out, in my experience with other municipalities, you'd make an adjustment out of the next couple paychecks to basically reimburse the township for any amounts that were paid above and beyond what ultimately gets authorized. And part of this is going to be also repealing the prior resolutions. And my understanding, I don't think anything was done to implement the 3% in the interim period, was it, Mr. Harris?
It was, and those funds were paid out.
Okay.
And if you want me to pay them back, I will do that. It's not, I am not adverse to that. So,
Thank you.
Okay.
And to Councilwoman's point, we will be scheduling evaluations in June. Initially, I did discuss with some council members possibly doing the first meeting in June, but I think that's a hectic week. So I would ask council if we can consider the second meeting in June. Second meeting.
I'm fine with that. And I guess in between then we could look at the documents and fill out what we
Right.
need.
Yep, I'll be sending those out this week,
Mhm.
but the evaluation will be the second meeting
Of June.
in June.
Madam Mayor, I had
Yeah.
just one more. In terms of the COLA for the township manager, Mr. Crook, have you seen in other municipalities where perhaps it's written into the salary ordinance or wherever the township manager's pay is that the COLA is paid, consistent with the rest of the employees, so it's not pulled out. So maybe the salary increases, the council would review those, but in terms of COLA, if that's something that would be automatic.
Most of the resolutions and contracts I've seen are tied to July 1st.
Okay.
Municipalities. There are a couple that go retro to January 1st. I mean.
But my question is it automatic? Can we make it automatic for the township manager along with the other employees?
We could do an amendment to the salary ordinance to provide that it's automatic, based on whenever it's implemented for the rest of the employees. in the
Right,
town.
but the
The trouble
increase,
with it in this town is that you have probably a little abnormally high number of different unions. A lot of towns might only have 2 or 3 unions. You have a lot more than that. So you have different moving targets with each one, but what we can try to do going forward in negotiations is maybe try to get everybody on the same timeline. It's not something you can do. It's going to take several years to do that. But in the interim period, you could tie when the township manager's raise goes into effect to one of those units. Or you could even tie it to the executive non-representative salary.
right.
When they're implemented, that's when the township manager would be implemented also.
So then if we were to do that, then the salary increase would truly be just based on the performance evaluation and the COLA would take care of itself annually. Is that
The
accurate?
COLA or the limitation that's on the COLA. 'cause
Right.
There is a cap.
Agreed. Okay.
But right now, COLA is not included within our township manager's agreement.
Correct.
I just would like to say, I think, I stand by my decision and my vote at the last meeting. I think Mr. Harris is deserving of that 3% raise. And I agreed to it to being retroactive, but I will go with the rest of council and participating in the evaluation process.
Any other discussion? This would be the roll call for the amended.
Well, it would be a motion basically to table this and then
Until
the
after-
evaluation.
Okay, all right.
Gotcha.
I think that you would need to pass a resolution to repeal the prior resolution.
Right.
If you table it, then the approval
Okay.
will stay in effect.
All right, so we do a
I'll
motion.
keep the money.
We appreciate your integrity, Mr. Harris. We do. I do.
We'll do a motion to repeal the prior resolution. Do we have a number on that? I don't know. if we have.
89. I think.
Wait a minute, for this one?
No, for the prior
For
meeting.
last meeting.
We have to
That would
close
be-
this one out, though. We're gonna table.
So we're gonna do a motion amending the prior or repealing the prior resolution number, whatever that
89.
is.
There's a motion on the table.
Right.
We
it's
have
already
to
a
table
The
this
motion on the
motion.
table is to table this resolution tonight.
And then we go back and repeal the other.
And then we're gonna go
Okay.
back to repeal.
On my second.
You withdraw your second.
I withdraw my second for resolution 2023-101.
Thank you.
I withdraw my motion.
Thank you.
So that 101 is duly tabled. And now we should do a motion to repeal the prior resolution from the last meeting.
But don't we
We
need?
don't have the
do a
motion to table?
We tabled 101.
we have to vote on it, don't we?
They just removed, they just retracted their motion.
Right, so we need to make a.
We did not table.
Right.
We tabled 101, right? The one for tonight?
Not yet.
No,
Not yet.
Oh, okay, all right.
No.
So
I make a motion.
So we need the motion to table.
correct.
I make a motion to table resolution 2023-101,
Second,
moved by Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. You know, we need a motion to repeal.
So I need a resolution number, right? Oh, just to repeal 89.
Mhm.
Right.
So we do it 2023-89.
You're going to repeal resolution 2023-89.
Mhm.
So I need a motion to repeal resolution 2023-89.
I make a motion that we repeal resolution 2023-89.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Perone. Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
No.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 2023-102, right?
We did that. That
That's
was
part of
consent agenda.
consent.
We did that as part of consent.
That was
Treasurer,
That's all.
Now we're good. Yeah, down for treasurer.
Oh, all right, thank you so much.
Mhm.
I need a motion to approve the treasury report, please.
So moved.
Second.
moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
I need a motion for approval of minutes for April 4th and April 18th, 2023 minutes, please.
So moved.
Second,
Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Mayor Short, municipal clerk update. Just want to remind everyone that we have a rabies clinic, Mill Creek Park, on May the 10th from 4 to 7 PM. We also have Youth and Government, as Mr. Harris mentioned a little bit earlier, on May the 16th. They will be doing the first half of the council meeting on May the 16th as well. Starting time here at the municipal complex is 9:30 on May the 16th. And they would leave roughly about 10 to go with each director to learn about what they do. Early voting, June 2nd through the 4th, 2023. Friday and Saturday, the time is 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. On Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and that's at the Willenboro Public Library. Other things that we may need from council, Mayor, the permission to move forward for the E-code book is roughly about $8,600 if we go forward with them. Y'all had that in your packet, maybe 2 meetings ago. We decided to move forward, but we didn't have the cost. So it's roughly about $8,600. So I just need to know if you all are still okay with that. And
Yeah. Can I just, I can interrupt you. Are we okay with moving forward with the E-code 80? We got a clarification on the cost for 8,600.
Would it come out of council projects or, I mean, is it allocated? I don't know where it's allocated, but if we have the allocation for it, I'm comfortable with it.
Was this budgeted, Ms. Belajan, for this year in
No,
the clerk's budget? I think count, but we had like 100. I think we have a month, but
Can we, I
Yeah,
mean,
you
I just
just
think it
in-
needs to be
Just
verified.
inserted $19,000 into that line item.
I'm okay,
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with pushing forward with
Are
it.
you okay with the?
I'm in
econ
support.
Review.
What is it, what does it affect by pushing or what does it change if we don't or,
But this is just updating all of our ordinances
right?
Online.
online.
So
That's it.
pushing it forward. What is the concern? What is your?
Oh, where the,
concern?
my concern was, where's the funding coming from? Because it wasn't in the clerk's budget. It would come likely from special projects for council. So we would need agreement from council if we want to use $8,600 out of that line item.
Okay. And that's the only place they can come from?
That would be the most, yeah, we have extra money in that one.
Okay.
You, okay, Councilman Anderson? Okay. Madam Clerk, we will get a resolution just for the record for the next meeting, okay?
Also, Mayor, what we didn't do, for the planning board, I believe they're the only professional, and that's because, y'all had discussion in, amongst yourselves and council about planning board. We need a not to exceed for them so we can get them that solicitor, paid.
What you get, you didn't give that? I thought
Yeah, I
Deputy
thought we
Mayor
had closed
gave
that
that.
out.
All I have left is discussion. What was the number? I know you wanted to add numbers. Some numbers went out. Y'all never gave a definite as to what it was.
I don't have it in front of me right now.
Okay.
I didn't know this was coming
All
up.
right, yeah, can you put that on, for unfinished business for the next meeting so we'll address it?
Okay, that's all I have for them.
All right, moving on to unfinished business. Do we have does anyone have any unfinished business? Councilman?
Dr. Worthy?
Oh, thanks. I do, Madam Mayor. I know we've been talking about the turf fields, quite a bit. And, thanks to Ms. Mack sharing the articles, about turf fields and just reading more about them, as well as the administration sharing, cost estimates of what it would cost to take care of the turf field, the maintenance of the turf field versus the grass field. And I was wondering if, as we continue to explore this, would perhaps council be interested in having a community forum of some sort to hear from the community about, since it comes down a lot to preferences of what the players may want or what parents may want to see in the town. I thought perhaps if we have a community discussion about it, just to get input, because it appears that the council is unified in terms of making the investment to improve the fields. But since we're making an investment of this size, perhaps we just want to make sure that we're having those conversations with the community as we go forward. So I just wanted to bring that up under unfinished business.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's really important. Also considering that, we just found out, that the school will be investing, about $2 million in the turf field over at Willenboro. And I believe the Panthers and the school will be using that for the time being. But I do think we should open up the discussion to the community. I think that's a great idea. We in agreement with that?
Yep.
Anybody else?
Okay.
Yay.
All right, and I did want to,
Anderson had a.
oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Anderson, go ahead.
I just wanted to follow up. I did bring up a question 2 meetings ago regarding the boards and commissions having the ability to fundraise. The question was brought back to the board that I serve on, and I just want to get an answer because I never received anything. And if I did, I didn't see it, but I just need some clarification if they can, if they can't.
Under the, under the present status, and actually the township manager and I are in the process of reviewing the various ordinances pertaining to commissions. There's no specific provision in there that allows them to fundraise. So I think that's one of the things we've got to put on our checklist to include. However, I do think as a general proposition, if it's a 501c3, a properly created commission or board that's a nonprofit, and I don't know if that applies to the specific entities you're talking about,
No.
they would be able to fundraise by virtue of that, but I do think we should amend the provisions to allow for fundraising and give, leeway for that. It makes sense for these commissions to have alternative sources if people are willing to participate and contribute to those directly.
Okay,
It
so,
offloads the cost to the township, so it makes sense.
correct. Okay, so it's something that we're looking into.
Yep.
Okay.
But just also, Mr. Crook, I'd be interested in the procedure for that and the maintenance of those funds. And if this is a standard practice, but amongst municipalities for boards, advisory boards and commissions that fall under the township to have the ability to fundraise.
If you're gonna do it through the auspices of a township authorized committee, you would definitely have to have.
It's not an
Well, that-
auspice, that's what it is.
You'd have to have the oversight over the funds. There'd have to be accountability. Those funds would have to be utilized for specific municipal purposes. So that's part of what we're building into this, is there's gonna be a review process for use of funds and approval by this council in order to go ahead and utilize those funds.
Yeah, if those funds are even earmarked, they can come to the township and just earmark for that particular committee.
Right.
One of the biggest obstacles is that revenues that are received by the municipality are property of the municipality and have to be accounted for. Municipal revenues unaccounted for during the budget process. And you just can't take that money and turn around and use it. Particular trust accounts could use, for example, Recreation has a trust account. So funds that they generate from their programs, they are able to deposit in those trusts and then turn it around to support other programs. But the state is very specific on the number and the types of trusts that can be created in the township. So when you say fundraising, you can raise funds, but they're going to go into your general revenues
Right.
and be accounted for as municipal revenues unaccounted for and wouldn't be utilizable until the next budget year or one or two down the road. You would still need to make an appropriation in the budget for the expenditure for the different commissions. So these are some of the things that, Mr. Crook and I were kind of hashing through, because it's just
There's
not
some
as,
hoops to jump through.
yeah,
It's
it's
not
just
as
not as
simple as
easy
you
as
might
it sounds.
Mhm.
You just make sure that's put on unfinished business, just so we keep up with it. We can come to a conclusion.
So, one more thing. So with that being said, as we continue this budget process, when is the earliest do we perceive these boards and commissions being able to ask for their allocated allotments? Or how do we want to move forward with that?
Those allotments have been accounted for in this budget year. They need to submit their requisitions to the clerk's office, go through the requisition process and receive funds.
All right, can we get something in writing so that it can be distributed to the chairs of these boards and commissions, so they have a clear understanding of what the process is?
They have that.
Yeah, this is,
Yeah, can you just forward it, because they keep asking, and I have another board that asks the same thing about receiving their funds. So if we can just send it back out.
so they're not just gonna get a lump sum check from the township for
Right.
$5,000. If they need to make a purchase, they need to submit a requisition, a purchase order needs to be generated. It has to go through the process.
Unless the
So-
part they don't like.
Well,
Right, so we just need the written sent,
That's it,
because
just
we
document it.
have it, you did write it, it's written.
Right.
It just needs to be
That's it.
sent to can you send it to the all the
Yes.
council members
So this,
again
right, this way they
the
understand the
forward-
steps.
to forward to to their boards and commission? Just- Yep. Anything else, Councilman Anderson?
Nah, thank you.
I just, Mr. Harris did mention, that he did submit the capital budget to each of us. So, I would ask that every council person just looks that over and submit any adjustment requests to me by May 9th. And that way, during our meeting for the next council meeting, I can at least present to Mr. Harris. And then we can kind of, and I can present to the full council what everyone's request is. So by May, I think that's a Wednesday. That's a Tuesday, because our agenda meeting is on that Wednesday. So I would appreciate if I had any adjustments or any ideas for the capital budget sent to me by May 9th. Also, we did indicate, so I will be sending out the forms for the evaluations for Ms. Blajan and Mr. Harris. And we will do the evaluation on the second meeting in June. Sorry, I don't have that date right in front of me. And that's all for me from unfinished business. Any other unfinished business? All right, moving on to new business. Do we have anything for new business? Mr. Harris, did you want to discuss the liquor licenses?
Mayor, thank you. Thank you very much. We have been having copious discussions with the developer over in the town center, who has a couple of redeveloping a couple of pads there and has some vendors that they are like to draw into the community. One of the hindrances are just the availability of plenary retail consumption licenses that the township really doesn't have any that are distributed. The one that was distributed was to Ruby Tuesdays, and because they went out of business, and I don't believe it has ever been properly placed into pocket, or may not have even been renewed. There are no effective liquor licenses in Willingboro. According to our zoning ordinances, certain establishments located in that zone would be eligible to receive a liquor license from the council if they meet certain size and seating requirements. One of the seating requirements was that they had to have seating in the amount of 2 or 150 seats, which really knocks anybody coming into those locations out of the box, because I believe that the only place there that could accommodate that size would be the old AT&T facility. I think there was a staffing facility or something right on the corner there by the bagel shop. Outside of that, there really wouldn't be any opportunities for liquor license issuances. Is that correct? It doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I
But
think that's correct.
to issue liquor licenses in those developments. So what we were looking to, hoping the council would consider would be to offer 2 plenary retail consumption licenses in that particular zone specific to the town center. And we were asking that you would consider reducing the 150 seat capacity, which is currently existing, to a proposed 50 seating, which would be more in line with what those size buildings would be able to accommodate. It would not relieve or remove the power or authority to issue those licenses from the governing body. And that would be the only change that we would be asking that you would consider as a means to stir economic development in particular to the town center. You know, Starbucks is building a location there in one of those pads. The owner of that property is looking to develop the pad right next to, or the site right next to that, which could be another opportunity to offer a liquor license. And there is another location which has an opportunity to offer a liquor license as well. So that is what we are asking the council to consider, just reducing the 150 seat requirement to 50 seats in that particular zone and issue 2 licenses.
Councilman Anderson?
Mr. Harris, have we identified or determined the cost of these licenses? I know we had asked that in the past, and I guess there wasn't enough information out there to allow us to understand what the value was. So with Ruby Tuesdays, I know we gave it away for $2.
Oh, you gave it away.
Right, so I just want to make
Not me.
sure,
I ain't giving it away.
however, oh, that was before my time. But I just want to make sure, that we, we don't sell ourselves cheap. We get the value. And that as we look at this, that we put enough parameters in place that it just doesn't open it up to everybody.
Sure.
Because what's been happening is we went from this number to this number, and I get it, I understand. I'm in favor of having it in a particular zone, but at the same time, we just want to make sure that, we hold our value and we don't sell ourselves cheap.
Well, there are currently 2 methods available by law by which you can issue a liquor license. And I'll ask Mr. Crook to maybe go through that as he has a little more legalese and understanding of the legal processes.
There's actually 2 different mechanisms. One is the one that's actually incorporated in your ordinance as it presently reads, which they call that the historical method, which provides an application. The basically council decides they want to go ahead and put a liquor license out. They then make the decision as to, we'll accept applications. You set reasonable parameters that are consistent. Here, if you wanted to reduce the 150 seats to 50, we'd have to do a modification to the ordinance to get there first. But ultimately, part of that process is you put out for application, you can establish a minimum bid amount for the license. You then would go ahead, review it, give presentations. There's criteria set forth in your ordinance for how you'd evaluate that. And ultimately, you'd make the award based on what is in the best interest of the town. The other method is a more modern method that's been used since local public contracts law has evolved, which is basically almost like an open competitive bid process where you lay out, here's where we want here's the areas you can put a license. These are the parameters we put on it. This is, the minimum price. And then you accept sealed bids, and whoever comes in with the highest bid would be who gets the award, as long as they meet all the requirements of the underlying bid specifications. So right now, your ordinance is the historical method, which gives you some more flexibility to not make price alone drive everything. If you wanted to go the other route, we'd have to amend the ordinance to provide for that, going through the sealed bid process. And, we could, of course, do that. But that's really your 2 options, either the historical method, which is presently in your ordinance, or going through a sealed bid process. And either way, either one of them will allow you to establish a minimum bid amount to ensure that you feel you're getting least reasonable compensation for the license.
Right, so to my point, we need to establish that baseline. So as we tried to do it in the past, we were unsuccessful. So I think we need to know where we need to be starting at, opposed to a bid process. Somebody says $10, then somebody says 12.
Right.
We just need to understand that. That's all I was looking for, was that baseline that we could never achieve.
I think we were supposed to be looking for comparables in the area. I don't know who's supposed to. Mr.
We
Harris?
need to do that. It's not as easy as you would think. Some townships are more willing to give you that information than others. We might have to resort to Oprah requests to get that.
Okay.
But we'll have to look and see, what we can do is do basically a general search through the web as to recent liquor licenses that have been put up, and then go follow up with Oprah requests if they won't give it to us voluntarily.
And valuations in retail or liquor licenses is very dependent on where.
Yep.
Because one plenary retail license can be issued for every 3,500 residents. Is that the number, Ms. Blajan?
Yeah.
And one distribution license for every 7,000. So the larger your population, the more liquor licenses you would have available to you. And if you are in an area where you know, you have a lot of tourism, that license would be more valuable to you than in the sticks somewhere where nobody's going. So, you know, finding that number, which is best for here, that's gonna be a tough pin because the demographics aren't really defined enough. I guess you would say that this would be the standard comparable across the board universally.
I understand that, but if we can just get like some number, some general idea, at least we can form the more, the more rational, conclusion. So that's a good point, though, that you bring up. Any other discussion?
Also, I'd just like to add to that discussion. The mayor and I recently attended the New Jersey Conference of Mayors, and there was a lot of discussion on this very topic on the liquor licenses. Some towns are having some issues, not only with the number, but because they use the bid process, some desired businesses are being outbid by other big box businesses with no intention of coming into the township, but just want to secure that liquor license. So I just want to caution this board about some of the other information that we're hearing across the state.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any, are we interested at least, and we're not making a decision tonight, but are we interested in pursuing? Mhm.
I'm interested in pursuing the change to reduce the number of seats
Mhm.
and to make it just in the Willenboro Town Center vicinity.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
interested.
I'm in favor as well, if it's gonna help us generate business.
Over there. Okay.
I'm also interested in that.
All right. Can we place this ordinance on our next meeting?
Just in terms of the information pertaining to comparable finances, it might be difficult to have solid information
understood.
within that period of time, but yeah, we can get a draft together for at least
Yeah.
a starting point for discussion.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, just not.
And more than 2,500.
All right. Any other unfinished business? All right. I'm sorry, any other new business? All right, moving on to public comments. Public comment is now open. You have 4 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Anyone for public comment?
Celestina Miller, 11 Hollis Lane, Willingboro, New Jersey, resident since 1965.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of the liquor license, Willingboro, when it first got the liquor licenses, had 4 liquor licenses. Their contract with Ruby Tuesday was a fiasco. Okay, so we never made any money out of it. At that time, a liquor license could be sold for $250,000 plus. Okay, so I just wanted to make that clear. We did a fiasco with that liquor license. Okay. Next, I'm a pickleball player.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm 90 years old. On April the 9th, I became 90 years old and I'm still playing pickleball. We don't have a decent pickleball court outside in this township. Fairmont Park, where we used to play before COVA, started having, the ball wouldn't bounce because it was too many dead spots. So we moved inside. And we had wonderful court on the basketball court, okay? Until we had a fiasco this year when some contractors came in and redesigned it what they wanted, instead of listening to the people that were playing how the courts should be set up. Okay. So we coped with that. But now summer is coming. Where the hell are we going in this town? And pickleball is not just for young people, it's for people your age. You should all be out playing pickleball. Okay? If a 90-year-old person can go out and play, you can. You can get off your butts and get some exercise. Activity makes you young. No matter how old you are, honestly, exercise makes you young. Okay. So that's one complaint. Hey. Potholes in certain areas are phenomenal. I know that you're not responsible for Levitt Parkway, or I should say Veterans Parkway, because it's a county road. But these other streets that have enormous potholes, even though you patch, you patch here and you miss this pothole right next to it, where a whole strip should be put in instead of a pothole here, pothole here, pothole here. Put the whole damn thing. That's very. I live on Hollis Lane, and it intersects with Harrison Drive. Okay. We've had a person who was a teacher in this community that died on the corner. Okay. When people doing work like the municipal doing some work on that street, you could not get in.
Ma'am, your time is up. Mayor, can we have 30 seconds?
Because you have the trucks here and the potholes that you're trying to avoid there. Okay, so that's another complaint. I asked many times that the apron on my driveway be repaired, because that's not one of my responsibilities, the town's responsibility. I wrote letters 4 years ago, 2 years ago, attaching the letter that I originally wrote. No answer from public service whatsoever. I think that's disgraceful. I'm a resident here a long time. Do you want me to enumerate all of the complaints that I have?
No, you're out of time.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, feel free to contact my office and set an appointment, and I will spend as much time with you listening to whatever it is that you need to share. And we will put together a plan to address as many of those items as we can.
Okay, I thank you.
And what's your last name again?
Miller.
Miller, Miss Miller. Thank you. You also, and happy birthday.
Rebecca, for way back. And that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. All right, Miss Miller, goodbye. I see you, Miss Miller.
90 years.
That's harassment, Miss Miller.
That's 90 for you.
Okay. Okay,
And I want to stay. Okay.
thank you. Thank you, Miss Miller. Nat, watch yourself.
It's easy to
I know it easy. We know it's easy. We got you. Any other public comment? I do see some people online.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Claudine Archer, 46 East Oaks Road. I'm, first, I like, of course, I said good evening. I'm here on two sides. I want to be quick and on time. Youth advisory. I'm on the youth advisory board, and one of the things we've been trying to do for the last 2 years, the first year I was sick most of the time that I was on it, is that we've been trying to build, we're trying to have a book with all of the youth programs within Willingboro, whether it be a church group or no matter what group, so that the youth in Willingboro can have access to having as many opportunities as they can. So I'm here to ask the community, whoever's listening, if they have any youth programs that they let the Youth Advisory Board know, so that we can put everything together. Because there are some parents that only send their kids to church programs, and you know how it is. So we want to be able to have that available for the youth in Willingboro. I come to you with the other hat. I'm the founder of the Beloved Project. We mostly work with hunger, homeless, the unhoused, reentry clients, and immigration. That's our major thing. And it's two parts. At the last meeting, I was hearing about people getting dropped off and in neighborhoods, and I believe that not to be true. New Jersey's at an all-time high of homelessness after COVID. And I partner with the churches and the police departments, and I run out and give, when they call and bring food and those kind of things. And people that have never been homeless are homeless now. So the ones that are habitually homeless or want to stay, under the radar, they're used to being out. And what happens, there are people that have never been homeless. They're now in their cars, they're in Milton Park, they're at Walmart, in those areas where people think that there are just cars parked, there are people living in their cars. So what I ask is, if you see something that looks a little funny, or if you drive by the woods and you'll see tarps and those things, you can call the Beloved Project, and we'll go out there and we'll try to see how we can help. While there's it's at its all-time high, there's a housing shortage, and if you find housing, you can't afford it. So that's another issue that we have. So we have a lot of people sleeping on people's couches and living in their cars. So we're asking that I'll send the information or post the information. I want to say thank you to the Rec Center. They allowed us to have a resource fair here today, and we were able to help. What we do is that we try to bring the Beloved Project, brings the agencies to different townships, because there are people that don't have ways to get to our office or get to the other agencies. So we try to bring the agencies here. So Housing Hub was here today, the Sheriff's Department, a lot of people were here today, and we just want to thank them for making space for us today. And the last thing is, the Beloved Project is honoring Dr. Tiffany Worthy and Officer Brandon Thomas as one of our community heroes. On June 29th, at the fairgrounds, Dr. Worthy and Brandon Thomas and Officer Thomas go out of their way to, they extend themselves and give us food, toiletries, and resources that we can give to other people. And that's a blessing for us, because we don't always know. I was doing this for Out of My House in 2017. And when you're outside, you realize that a lot of agencies have money, but they don't really help. So when we find people like Dr. Worthy and Officer Thomas and Jill from the Sheriff's Office, Fountain of Life, it's a blessing for us, because it makes it easier to be able to go out and bring resources out to people. So we just want to say thank you, and we invite you all to our program on June 29th.
Thank you. Real quick, I know you came up here with a couple of hats. You said you want people to contact you, but what is your contact information?
Yes, I'll just leave my ClaudineArcher@gmail.com.
Okay.
This way.
Thank you.
William Weston, 44 Bosworth Lane. I just want to thank Ms. Archer, though, the Beloved Project. I really appreciate what they're doing for the community. Some of my questions are the ShotSpotter. Once that trial period ends, it's $54,000 $54K per year. Are there any alternatives that has a lower subscription? Just because that will be a locked-in cost in perpetuity, it seems. Also, I can't remember the name of the restaurant, 1911, but just an update on where that is. Resolution 2023-104, the uncollectible taxes. I don't know if it was stated, but I just would like the definitions of uncollectible, like what does that mean? And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weston.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Mayor McIntosh, Deputy Mayor Wilkville, Manager and all council members present, and the members of Willingboro. My name is Kim Brantley, 44 Woodhaven Lane. I am running for one of the council seats here in Willingboro. I'm asking for your vote. I am a honorary discharge veteran. I'm a retired postal worker. I'm currently a DAV service officer, in which, since President Biden signed the PACT Act, the VA and Department of Veterans Affairs and the DAV, to date, veterans has received over $1 billion in long overdue compensation. I'm presently processing PACT Act claims from my home. Anyone in the community, I help and will help. I've been doing this for over the past 3 years. I am looking forward to getting with the school board to bridge the gap between city council, the school board, and the teachers union, so that we can do what is necessary for our children, because most people here are already educated, and now we gotta think about our kids. I know we do, but I think we can do a little more. Beautifying our community. I hear some of these things that might be coming up, like low-income loans, because like I said before, when we come into our community, the appearance isn't what it used to be, let's face it. So beautifying our community is one of the things that I'm concerned about. Before I go any further, I would like to say that my position on the ballot is column 2, position 2. I do support the other candidate running, Lionel Borden. And we're just looking to be part of the solution. I mean, council, the police department, the fire department, I feel like we're safe here, and I want to continue to see these things happen. I'd like to, before my time is up, we did a lot of things in April. I try to participate in as many things as I can here in the township. And I just want to recognize Councilwoman Perrone for the autism walk. It was an awesome event. I am a grandparent of a child on the spectrum, so just sitting in that crowd, listening to all the parents and educators and people interact, it was just awesome. I mean, so we need to I just like to congratulate her on the job that she did with that that platform. I just want you to remember, bring back a better Willingboro is my slogan. Vote down, not across. In other words, I said that backwards, but don't vote down. Don't vote down, vote across. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Brantley. Oh my God. All right, host, can you start letting people in online?
Absolutely, Mayor. Pat Lindsay Harvey.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, Administration, and my fellow Willingboro residents. First, let me say, I just love Shelly Miller. I want to be like her when I grow up. You keep doing what you're doing, Shelly. Last Thursday, the Willingboro Community Development Corporation hosted its first Entrepreneur and Career Symposium. It was a huge success.
Of the participants, there were around 50 ninth grade students from Willingboro High School. And they learned about up and coming trending careers such as cybersecurity, water industry, energy, and veterinary medicine. And those who attended the entrepreneur workshop listened to two gentlemen who had started businesses. And one of the major threads running through the majority of our panelists were that either they grew up in Willingboro, lived in Willingboro, or their businesses were in Willingboro. And we wanted our students to see that we have tremendous talent in our town. Secondly, EduSports Academy will be hosting the annual Women's Golf Day on Friday, June 2nd at the Kennedy Center from 4 to 6 p.m. It's a free event. It's 2 hours of golf instruction and 2 hours of networking. And I think that's all I have this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Pat Lindsay Harvey.
All right, Sharon Anderson.
Good evening, council members. This is Sharon Anderson from 7 Bellhurst Lane. I just want to mention that next Wednesday from 4 to 7, along with the rabies clinic, we're going to be, Borough Pet Project is going to be hosting pet rescues and services as a complement to the clinic. We'll be giving away free ID tags to any pets. You don't have to be there for the rabies vaccine to get an ID tag. You can just bring your pet or bring the collar, or you can buy a collar, and we will give you a free ID tag. Tiny Paws is bringing some adoptable little dogs for people to meet. The Burlington County Animal Shelter will have information about pets available at the shelter. There'll be a display of plants and ways to keep cats out of our gardens. Friends of Burlington County Animal Shelter will explain how we can control our feral cat population. Really encourage families to attend. We will have representatives there who can coach the families, especially the kids, so they can understand the skills that they need to develop to be ready to adopt a pet. I oftentimes see fear in parents' eyes when they hear a child ask me, "Can I have a dog?" And they think I'm going to try to, convince them that they should get their child a dog. That's not the case. The parents oftentimes turn around into a smile when they hear me asking the children, how often do they go for walks? Are they ready to get up in the morning, even in the rain? But we can try to make preparation for pet adoption a good thing. And then hopefully this summer, we can help the strays and surrenders from Willingboro who end up at the shelter find new homes here in Willingboro. That's next Wednesday, May 10th, 4 to 7, Mill Creek Park. See you there.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
Maddie Mallory.
Good evening, Maddie Mallory at Hudson Place. Just wanted to say that in spite of the bad weather, we had quite a successful used book sale last Saturday. But I was disappointed that we did not have any visitation or representation from the council or from the Board of Trustees for the library. And if we are sincere about preserving and trying to save our library, I think it calls for everyone to get involved and support the programs that we sponsor, because we are one of the major sources of providing different projects for the library. So that's my comment, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Mallory.
All right, Maurice Hallett.
Good evening, council, mayor, and city manager. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
This is Maurice Hallett, owner of 1911 Smokehouse. I wasn't going to speak. I was just enjoying the council meeting, but I heard a question as to the status of 1911 Smokehouse possibly coming to Willingboro. And I'm excited about that possibility. So we're hoping to sign the lease soon. We're in an attorney review, so we're looking forward to possibly coming to Willingboro for our third location. Was very interested in the conversation on liquor licenses because my other two locations have liquor licenses. So very interested in that as well. So looking forward to bringing great barbecue to Willingboro.
Thank you.
All right, Tarina Williams.
Good evening. Mayor McIntosh, Deputy Mayor Whitfield, and Township Council and Community. This is Tarina Williams, 8 Box Circle. First, I want to express affirmation to all of these wonderful community events that empower us to love and appreciate our community by taking care of it. I love the Earth Day report, and also Take a Mile in My Shoes with autism. There's so many awareness each month. I love that we proclaimed mid-May Mental Health Month. In addition to that, there's Older Americans Month. If you go to acl.gov, you can find more details about that. There's also Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders Month. And last but not least, Lupus Awareness Month. For those who do not know, lupus affects 1.5 million Americans right here in our country, as I just said, and 5 million people worldwide. I am one of those Americans. Next Wednesday is World Lupus Day. So if you can mark your calendars and take time to observe it by wearing purple, it would be greatly, greatly appreciated. In addition to that, Juneteenth, our church, Willingboro Seventh-day Adventist Church, participated in it for the past 2 years, and we wanted to find out who do we contact to participate in it again. So if Deputy Township Manager, Mr. Harris, can you let us know about that, hopefully in your, when you give the answers? Let's see, an observation of Older Americans Month. Our church, Willingboro, my church, Willingboro Seventh-day Adventist Church, will be collaborating with our host church, St. Paul, to host a special celebration for older Americans on Saturday, May 27th. When we have more details, we'll let you know, but I just wanted to ask you to please mark your calendars as we celebrate celebrate our older Americans of our community. They are just so remarkable. Speaking of one, we have Miss Reva Foster, the Director of Community Affairs as well as Senior Services. She took the time to attend last week's community service event that we had, and we greatly appreciate the time that she took to not only attend, but gave such great words of encouragement to our congregation and residents of the community. I really, really appreciate Willingboro and all the great work that we're doing individually and collectively as a body. And I love these council meetings that we have on the first and third Tuesday, that if someone wasn't at a specific event, we receive thorough reports from Mr. Harris, and just about every event there is. If one township official wasn't able to go, the deputy mayor went, the mayor went, or two or more, or one councilwoman or councilman attended. Thank you so much for all your hard work, and may God richly bless you, your families, and the rest of the residents of Willingboro. Thank you so much for your time and dedicated service.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
You.
All right, Beulah Williams.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mr. Harris, Deputy Mayor, of course, and Township Clerk and everyone. Good evening. Beulah Williams from 8 Botany Circle. And I just appreciate this opportunity. I'm wondering, Mr. Harris must work double time finding all these grants. This is wonderful. I haven't heard about so many grants before, you know, working hard for Willingboro. We appreciate you, Mr. Harris, really do. We appreciate all the hard work of our council. And I want to share that mental health, we're aware of Mental Health Month. We are hosting, the Willingboro Seventh-day Adventist Church is hosting our 3rd mental health workshop. It's a day of mental health. We have high-powered officials, mental health officials coming to participate. The last 2 was on Zoom, but this will be up close and personal. So we're inviting everybody to come out. If we ourselves don't have some sort of mental issues, or family members or friends, somebody is suffering from some mental health issues. It's no respect of persons. It affects whites, blacks, yellow, green, whatever, or color or ethnicity or status in life, you know. So when we have people volunteering their expertise, please come out and support, and also ask your questions or whatever. Please come on out. 20th of May at the Willingboro Seventh-day Adventist Church, 201 Veterans Parkway. I also appreciate Mrs. Foster, humble, wonderful lady. She was there inspiring, especially the older people, to know that there is somebody who actually understands, who cares about them, wants to see them living their best life. And, you know, I kudos for Miss Reba Foster. I should have had my notes, because when I get on air, I forget. But thank you anyway. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the hard work you're doing. You're representing Willingboro well, and we appreciate you. God bless you.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams.
You're welcome.
We have one more online, and then we'll take the rest from the crowd.
All right, Carl Turner.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Carl Turner, 86 Earnshaw Lane. I just have one question, and I guess this is on the process for the liquor licenses. From what I heard, is the council proposing to do this in a step process? Basically based on Mr. Harris's statement that in the town center, the number or the building is not really suffice the 150. So you're going to reduce the number first and then look into I guess the cost of different liquor licenses as a step 2, or are you proposing to do that all at the same time? That's the only question I had.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Turner. We'll pause right here for online and we'll have the people that are in person come up. They've been waiting.
Good evening, good evening. My name is Lionel Borden. I reside at 40 Thornhill Lane. To you, Mayor McIntosh, to you, Deputy Mayor Whitfield, and to the council and to the residents of Willingboro, I would like to bid everyone under the sound of my voice a good evening. I am Lionel Borden Senior. Again, I would like to announce my candidacy for Willingboro Township Councilman. Again, I am Lionel Borden Senior. My slogan is keeping it real, which is an acronym for responsible, evolving, accountable leadership. A little bit of history about myself. I am a long-term resident of Willingboro. I am a graduate of the Willingboro High School class of 1999. I am married of 16 years to my wife, Tiffany, and our 4 children and 2 dogs. I am a member of Foster Military Lodge 67, right around the corner here in the state of New Jersey. We are the Freed Accepted Masons. We have donated countless hours of community service for the betterment of the Willingboro residents. I'm excited to begin this journey. I look forward to serving and meeting many of the residents in the community. I would like to talk and figure out ways how we can make Willingboro better. I do ask for the support of the residents of Willingboro and helping me accomplish my endeavors. On June 6th, I do ask that each and every one of you remember Lionel Borden Senior, column 1. I do say that I do support candidate Kim Brantley in his candidacy as well. Remember, vote across, not down. And I do say that voting for me, is voting for you. And I would like to close by saying that the autism awareness, the Walking in My Shoes Autism Awareness Symposium was excellent. I have a child that is autism. As a parent, it was refreshing to have something like this in our community, something that I didn't have to go down 295. So I would like to see much more of that here in the community. I want to give kudos to Councilwoman Perrone for hosting that event. You know, my child was elated because he got to, share his artwork. He got to sell his artwork. So I would like to see much more of that here in our community. I also would like to say that in reference to that, being that, that is such an important event and April is Autism Awareness Month, I do feel that the Autism Walking in My Shoes Symposium probably should have been the only event that was taking place that day. In respect to autism, unfortunately, that is a growing illness, if you will. But again, my name is Lionel Borden. I want to thank you for your time. Remember to vote for me, your next councilman. Vote across, not down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden.
Good evening, Gary Johnson, 54 Gramercy Lane. I would like to take a talk and put this in the category of since I know nothing, I must know everything.
Sorry, Mr. Johnson.
The shot spotter. When this was first presented, I was favorably impressed with the program. But as I listened tonight, a couple of things started getting on me. One, when a sales pitch starts going into too much fear mongering, I get a little suspicious. And I think we had more than a little fear mongering tonight. When they first presented it, I thought, this is wonderful. There's a program. These Spencers are clever enough that they could say, yes, that was a gunshot. No, that was fireworks. Tonight, that didn't seem to be the case. It seems to be the case that the sound is picked up, a monitor hears the sound and analyzes, and a monitor, a human being, makes a determination whether they think it's a gunshot or not. To me, that's a slightly different thing. I also didn't like, I wouldn't want to give away police tactics, but my suspicion is that there's a report of a gunshot. The police don't get charged right straight up to the people who made the call to talk to them. I suspect things are done before that ever happens. And I also think, since we have a darn good police force, that if any report of a shots fired is heard, our police are going to respond to it. They may be informed, but no, that's probably fireworks. But my suspicion is they will respond nonetheless. And way that this company was portraying Willingboro, it didn't sound like the township I live in. And so I don't know, I've become a little more apprehensive about this program, and I would urge you at $54,000 that they're charging, take a real hard look at this. I mean, I'm in favor of the police getting all the beneficial information that they can get, but let's make sure that we're getting what some people are implying we're getting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Host, can we proceed with public comment from Zoom participants?
Sure, Mayor. Shirley Dilworth.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Shirley Dilworth, Newport Lane. I have just a few issues that I'd like to, comment on or to discuss with the council and the community. First of all, I want to talk about my most recent library experience. Last Saturday, Friends of the Willingboro Public Library hosted a book sale. For those of you who don't know about Friends of the Library, this is a nonprofit organization, and it has been around for about more than 2 decades in the community. As a matter of fact, the organization came about when there was discussion about closing the library. That was when our library was located, near the municipal building. And the discussion was about, closing the Willingboro Public Library and annexing our library services with the Burlington County Library. Well, thank goodness and thank God that did not occur. Because our library is a source of pride for the community and is also a source of wonderful community resources. For those of you who don't know, last week was National Library Week. The library had activities on full display for the community. And to top off last week's activity, the Friends of the Willingboro Library had a book sale. The book sale, in spite of the rainy weather, it attracted, many residents to the library, especially families with children. I was overjoyed that we have a library, that we have our own library. And for the residents who are unfamiliar with our library, I just like to mention a few of the things that are available. Up front, near the entrance, there's an exhibit room. Last week, the most recent exhibit was about the Tuskegee Airmen. And I believe that exhibit was coming down last Saturday. There's also a computer technology room where they do a lot of teaching of computer classes. There's private study rooms. There's an excellent children's library. The library also offers notary public services And last, but certainly not least, there's a local history room that is filled with lots of historical documents about our town. And I failed to mention that last Friday, when we were there at the library to set up for the book sale, there were 5 ladies who were waiting, okay, on the bench outside. They were waiting for the library to open so that they could sign up for their library cards. So I just wanted to, to share my most recent happy experience, okay, about the library with the group. And I really appreciate all of you for listening. The second thing that I want to share with—
Time is up, Ms. Dilworth.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I have to save it for next time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Dilworth.
Right, Sarah Holly.
Good evening, Council. Sarah Holly, Tioga Lane. At the last council meeting, I voiced a concern or complaint to council about my trash in Twin Hills, which is normally picked up on Fridays, but it was not picked up until Tuesday that week. A resident came on after me, and I'm going to quote her verbatim. And it goes like this: I've never heard so much about trash as I've heard in the last few years. A lot of the trash has to do with the people. They just throw stuff around. They don't put the trash in containers, end quote. Jackie Mack, I am personally offended by your comments. And just maybe you are hearing about trash these last few years. Maybe you're hearing about it because we have, over the years, gone from twice a week trash pickup with no limit on the trash amount to once a week pickup with no limit on the trash amount to once a week pickup now with only one trash can, and we're limited as to what can fit inside that one trash can. Paying my taxes every quarter gives me the right to voice my concern or even complain about anything that I want to speak about. I have you know that I take great pride in my property, and my property is well maintained and clean. And I suffice to say that there are council members who've been to my property and inside my house and should attest that my property is well maintained and clean. May I suggest, Mrs. Mack, that you go and look up the word microaggression and reflect on your comment. When you know better, hopefully you will do better. And that's all I have to say tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Holly.
Right, Martin Knock.
Wow. Good evening, council. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let me start off by saying I totally agree and support reducing the number of seats for the liquor license.
Can you just state your name and address for the—
Well, he announced that Martin Knock, Windsor Lane. When I was on council, we had numerous opinions that said that we could not reduce the 150 a seat because it was done by referendum when we went out and put a referendum on to move the town from dry town to wet town. So now I'm really confused because as I believe Councilman Anderson and Councilman Woman Perrone know what we went through in trying to have establishments to have less seats, which I supported. Even the golf course didn't ask for their specialized liquor license because they couldn't support 150 seats because they didn't want to build a separate building or the tent would allow for that. And when we asked special counsel to look into it, it was said that we had to go out to referendum in order to reduce that number. So I support it. I really support it. I think 150 was too much when we did that referendum years ago. But we want to make sure we do this correctly, and that needs to be looked into. Number two is the shot spotter came up before, and I think before it was 99,000 or something. I'm not sure we're sending the right message, or we need to have shot spotter in the township. Simply because do we have that many that the police department is saying that we had that many people outside shooting off in the air or whatever? Even when we had our biggest issues back then, as everyone know, the two gangs fighting from Pemberton and Burlington and so forth. That's when the shot spotter first came up for us to really look into. But I'm gonna have to agree with Mr. Johnson. I think you guys got to really think about it and the message it's sending, and how do you separate the border of, Edgewater Park or Burlington Township that we live close to? Is there enough of actions of people shooting off guns that we need a program like Shot Spotter? I mean, I just would like for you to really look into that wholeheartedly. And the third part was my last minute and 16 seconds. The warehouse in Edgewater Park has not opened yet the traffic on Beverly and Cocos continuously to get worse, and trying to get out on Beverly and Cocos, in terms of all the trucks and the trucks moving. I have been trying to talk to the commissioners of the county about doing some kind of maybe lowering the speed just for trucks to keep the speed down, because it is really, really getting bad. Those of us that live here and have lived off the Beverly and Cocos for a long time, trying to get out, especially on my street, it is becoming difficult. This morning, it was almost a 7-minute kind of a wait to get out, just trying to get out to go on Beverly and Cocos. So I'm asking you guys to really, think about that. Whatever you have to do, see if you talk to the commissioners, there's somewhere that we could do it before even that warehouse and Edgewater Park opens the last one. And I want to thank you for your time. Have a good evening. How's that, Ms. Balajian?
That was excellent.
Do we have anyone else online for public comment? All right. Hearing none, public comment is now closed. All right, Mr. Harris. Let's start with hot girl, Miss Miller. All right, pickleball. I know that is a sport that a lot of people do participate in. Ms. Miller did have some questions on where they can play, particularly outdoors and indoor. Mr. Okay.
So we have actually,
Ms. Miller, you are out of line today. Ms. Miller, public comments closed. We're responding to you now.
so actually, this is a subject that we had investigated back in 2022. And there are some old tennis courts, I believe, behind JFK, which we did investigate converting those into. Well, you may play there again. Into pickleball courts. We did get a design.
Smell, you about to get the gavel.
And at the time, the cost to create the courts there was around $300,000-400,000, which was not in our radar for that period of time. However, that could be something that the council could investigate or look into in 2024. And I do know Recreation, Ms. Bolden, is actively seeking grants for pickleball courts. In the meantime, I do believe there are facilities inside the gym which are pickleballable. Um,
Yes.
right. So again, that's something that we have looked into, and, you know, if the funds are appropriated, maybe in 2024, if the council decides that they want to move in that direction, that's something we can further pursue, at that time, or we get a good grant.
And Ms. Miller also did indicate some potholes and an apron on her driveway.
Yes, now, we have repaired a lot of potholes in Willingboro, and we still have a lot more to go. One of the items that are on our capital budget for 2023 is a crack sealer machine, and which will help form a more permanent bond on some of those potholes. As I did mention, that we are engaging in a massive road project in 2023. We are investing $3.5 million into repairing the 12 worst streets in Willingboro. So that is another avenue that we are pursuing. As you see, we have begin construction on 3 road projects in the town that will correct some issues on some other roads. And we are working in tandem with JCP and PSC&G, I forget, I'm from the eastern part of the state most of my life. PSC&G, who is engaging in a gas line replacement project, and they too will be repaving some of our roads in process with regards to that. So we are working on our roads, and it didn't take overnight for them to get that way, and but we are working as expeditiously as we can to correct them. I just ask for a little more continued patience, but I assure you that the departments and the township council are addressing those issues.
Okay, Ms. Archer, she was just explaining her program and her affiliation with the youth advisory group. Mr. Weston also had questions with our shot spotter. I do want to address that collectively for the people's concerns. I did too hear when the presenter was, saying, there's shots all over. That's why I asked you from your perspective. I think, your perspective matters. So I would just like to, I think the community just needs to hear from you again on the importance or the benefit of the shot spotter. Yes, keep it in mind that we are not saying that Willingboro is ridden with gun violence.
Correct. So I wrote down some of the questions in reference to Mr. Weston's question is this is the most reputable, longest standing company in the business. They've been around for 27 years. There's other companies that are starting up, but they don't have the proper technology and the long standing reputation as this company does right now. So kind of trying to hit everybody's question at once is we've been looking at ShotSpotter for some years, like former Mayor Knock had mentioned, and it is pricey. So that's why we applied for the grant. So the grant allows us 2 years of this program for free and allows us to evaluate this program for the next 2 years. And during that time period, if we don't think that it's a good fit for our community, then we're not bound by any type of contract. We don't have to renew any contract. We can just say, yep, these 2 years weren't what we expected. It wasn't what we wanted. And we no longer want to have that contract with you. They come, they take down their equipment, no harm, no foul. As far as the equipment is concerned, it's strategically placed and it uses technology to be able to triangulate and pinpoint wherever that equipment is. So again, so if we just use this, this little area, for example, they have different mechanisms placed throughout. And if a gunshot is detected, it goes to their monitors and they use algorithms to determine whether it's a gunshot, or fireworks. The statistics that I presented the last time, in 2022, we had a total combined between fireworks and gun calls, 129. So that's the ones that we responded to, whether we got dispatched as a gun call or a fireworks call. I don't know off the top of my head exactly which ones were what, And what this also allows us to do, it also allows us to pinpoint where we're going to go. So as Mr. Johnson was saying, yes, we do respond to every call, but you may have a caller that calls, hey, I just heard gunshots and it sounded like it was coming from Pennypacker. Sounds like it was coming from, towards Mill Creek Park. It doesn't give it gives us a broad area. So now our officers are trying, to figure out, where are we going? Is it Pennant Lane? Is it Pageant Lane? Wherever. And that's the benefit of this ShotSpotter technology. And again, free for 2 years, no commitment. It gives us the ability to evaluate whether this is something that we want to continue with or not continue with.
All right, thank you.
I have one question, Mayor, sorry.
Let me just, for the sake of time, I just want to get through this before 10. And then we can go, then I'll circle back. Miss Williams, she just wanted to know the Juneteenth contact person. And can we add lupus to our awareness for next meeting?
Right, so the Juneteenth contact person would be Recreation, Ms. Bolden, and the Recreation Department for participation in the programs.
Okay, and I did, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Weston's question on.
Yeah, uncollected taxes, yes.
So whenever a real estate tax, an assessment, or a municipal tax lien has been on the books or tax sale certificate for a designated period of time and has remained unpaid, then those liens become deemed uncollectible and are essentially removed from the books. Part of our budgeting process, we are required by law to keep a reserve for uncollected taxes. So as long as those uncollected taxes are on the books, they are included as part of the expenditures that we have to assess taxes for to cover. So by removing them off the books, that lowers our reserve for need for reserve for uncollected taxes, essentially enabling us to reduce the requirement to include additional funds in our budgets to cover those. So it's more of an administrative record keeping thing than any kind of actual real process that goes along with the property.
Okay, and then can we address Mr. Turner and Mr. Knox concerns about our process for the clarification on the process for the liquor license and making sure we're not running into any issues or conflicts concerning the referendum?
So that was good information by Mr. Knock that I was completely unaware of. First, let's talk about Mr. Turner and the process. The process would be the reduction of the seating in the location prior to the issuance of the liquor license. So it would be a multi-step process, one being before the other. And according to what Mr. Knock was saying, that was done by a referendum. And we will have to look into that, because if that was actually the case, it can only be undone by a referendum. So we would really have to look into that and see what the process was for that. And those were the two issues related to that.
Okay. And I just did want to address, I know from the library, Friends of the Library, I know council attended plenty of things this weekend. So I'll say for me, my apologies for not attending an event, but we were jam-packed from Friday through Sunday. Did I miss anything in, Deputy Mayor, you had a question?
I can take my question offline.
Oh, okay. All right. Did I miss anything? I think I got everything. Okay. Moving on to council comments. For the sake of time, we have to be out of here by 10. So can we keep them as brief as possible? You don't have to cut them down, but as brief as possible.
I'm gonna go as quickly as possible. I want to thank everyone for coming out. Want to congratulate Ms. Dion Bolding on the outstanding job she's done with the recreational programs. The Phenomenal Women's Program was outstanding. The food was excellent. Keep up the good work. Congratulations to Mr. Kevin Gaines, DPW, for the community cleanup event, which was a huge success. To see everyone out there, it was just a great day. Congratulations to the Willingboro Panthers, their cheerleading team, on their victories, which was great to hear. Congratulations, Mr. Lowry, for the promotion. Now the promotion matches the sign in the parking lot. Great job. Congratulations to Mr. Harris. He's got some big shoes to fill in replacing Rich Bovogel, but if you wear a couple of pair of socks, you'll get there. Congratulations, Councilwoman Perrone, on the autism event. And the best, I'm saving for last. I got to get up from the dais. Come here, Shelley. Let me return that kiss.
Y'all camera. Get a room. We call you Slick for a reason. That's all right. All right, Dr. Worthy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to congratulate many of the youth in our community. Councilman Anderson already covered quite a few of them, but I wanted to really say congratulations to the NAACP AXO competitors. I was up at the state competition. They were phenomenal. AXO stands for Afro-Academic, Cultural, Technological, and Scientific Olympics, known as Olympics of the Mind. And Willingboro brought home so many places, the first and second, and so many of our Willingboro residents were out there supporting. So sorry I didn't make it to the book sale, but I was up in North Jersey Saturday celebrating our youth, and I'm excited about the work they're doing and the things that we'll be able to do to continue to nurture our youth, to help them to become the best of who they're becoming. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll be quick too. Yeah, I definitely want to thank the community and the support of the township for the Autism in My Shoes Symposium. It was well attended, and I did send out a survey of the room, and we received quite positive feedback, and I'm compiling the information to share it with council. I know that there was another event, the cleaning of Willingboro going on, so I saw you popped in. But I think we need to hear back from the community of what they're looking for. And I also want to thank the Willingboro School District, because Dr. Malcolm X Outlaw, he had gotten Dr. Teresa Lucas to step in and speak on behalf of our school district as far as what programs we have here for autism, and also to hear from the other panelists as far as what we need. And at the last hour, I did receive a sponsor, which I was so grateful, because with the challenge with not having approved the budget just yet, I did get sponsorship from the Zeta Delta Zeta chapter, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and the Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, with which they also have the Making a Better Tomorrow Foundation. They supplied all of the food, and I was super grateful because the money was used after I bought the lawn signs. I really didn't have very much, so they had stepped in, so I appreciate them as well. Thank you to them. And I am looking to have another event like this, so that the council can be there to also hear what the community's needs are. There was a woman who built a gym, an autism gym in Glassboro, and she came and she was one of my panelists. She has a video of what the gym looks like, back to that discussion that I had, I think, in the winter time. So I would love for you to hear and see that as well. With that said, I know we have to conclude. I want to congratulate Mr. Laurie on your new appointment, and I know you're going to do well. And just want to say good evening to everybody. Thank you for coming out.
All right. I'm not gonna rehash any of the things were already stated, but I do want to echo some of those sentiments, especially congratulations to our youth. I do want to also send a congratulations to the 17 graduates of the of the Citizen Police Academy. It's such an incredible program and a chance for residents to get to know and understand the work of our law enforcement. So thank you to Public Safety Director Bucks, and also all of the officers that participated in that, Officer Sally Landrum, who leads that effort. Thank you for that. And a special shout out to Josh Jackson, who has attended every police academy, Citizen Police Academy, since its inception, and Paul, who also was a graduate that attended our Youth Police Academy and now continues his learning through the Citizen Police Academy. Lastly, I just want to remind the community or say congratulations and thank you for their service to Go Grow, who works in partnership with our Recreation Department for our community garden located in the JFK Center. We had opening day on the 22nd, and it was an incredible event. Many things were planted. I'm looking for a bountiful harvest this year. And if you are interested in assisting with the garden, they do have open community days for this month on the 13th and the 27th at JFK. And that is all that I have. Thank you. Thank you. And lastly, I did want to just acknowledge the library board, Friends of the Library, and our director who was in attendance for our grand opening of the amphitheater. I was remiss in acknowledging them in my remarks. So I just want to say thank you for the support there. And also at the next meeting, we will have Commissioner Director Felicia Hobson in attendance just to go through some of the things that they're offering for the county. I know the homelessness comes up again, so she's going to come and speak on a lot of the resources that we offer, that the county offers to our residents. So just be in attendance for that. And that's all for tonight. It is 10 o'clock and I want to say good night. Yeah, motion. Yep.
So moved.
Second, moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Whitfield. All in favor? Aye. It got originally passed by referendum.